What's going on today, Geo classes? This is Mr. Reddish from Roaring Fork High School. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about embedding quotes. Now, embedding quotes is not going to be the first thing you do for this DBQ, right? You've already watched Mr. Wells' video on bucketing last week, which I thought was very good. And you've already got your buckets, right? Your little arguments that you're going to be using in your DBQ, right? So now I'm going to show you how to embed the quotes from the evidence that's given in the DBQ into your writing. So I've been working on this bucket right here, how social media helped engage the young people of the Arab Spring. This one I thought was one that I had a lot of good documents that I could use. And I went ahead and this is my bucket, right? Document 2 is the Arab Youth Survey, right? And if I go over here and I look at my DBQ, I have document 2, right? Social media is now more important among the Arab youth than traditional media. It is also viewed as more trustworthy and has become their dominant source of news, in stark contrast to just a few years ago when the consumption of news was still dominated by television. So I thought that was a really good one to talk about the youth. Document 6. This is from the cousin of Mohammed Bouaziz, who was the guy who set himself on fire. This guy was 26 years old. Who was like bullied by the police, right? So I think it's really important that in my context, in this argument, I'm going to mention this concept of Mohammed Bouazizi, right? This guy who set himself on fire, this young person who became the catalyst. And I like this. Grab your camera, come film. You know, through newspaper and the website, we seized every opportunity to expose the government. So, like, that's youth exposing the government. Definitely goes along with what I'm trying to say, right? Document 8, I like this because it talks about more young Arabs than ever are awakened to the fact they have agency and digital tools that will help express it. That's at the very bottom there. You know, the other stuff is good too. You know, the digital art scene in Saudi Arabia is booming. The rise of mobile enhanced e-commerce is inexorable. And the entrepreneurship is being embraced by young people from Tunisia to Egypt to Lebanon to the United Arab Emirates. So it surely gives us a context of where this is happening and young people and new movements. Document 9, not so bad either. You know, you surely could, use that in mind. But I just decided to not do that because I didn't want to go into the cartoon for this one. So I want to just kind of use this one, document 14, which talks about just how it just kind of sets the scene of why the guy lit himself on fire, right? Is that like 60% of the region's people are under 30, twice the rate of North America. For those of you who understand population pyramids, this is going to kind of be a wider base in North Africa and the Middle East than you're going to see in more developed countries. So I kind of want to set the tone there that there's a lot of unemployment, there's some joblessness, there's a lot of young people, and a lot of them don't have jobs, and that causes civil disobedience, right? And that's why the guy lit himself on fire. So I want to set that tone in my writing. So what am I going to do? Here's what I got. Here's my little exemplar paragraph, right? Social media played a key role. Here, should I zoom this in? I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so you guys can definitely see what's going on here. Right? Social media played a key role in galvanizing the youth of the Arab world to stand up to the repressive autocratic regimes during the Arab Spring, right? That's my opening sentence. That's my argument, right? Social media played a key role. North Africa and the Middle East not only have a high percentage of young people, but also a high rate of unemployment. Now, that's how you insert it, right? Doc 14. Well, I guess I'll put document, right? I really want to put document 14 here. You know, I want to make it look good. Want to make it look professional, right? And guys, I should say, this is just the DBQ format for citation inserting quotations, right? There are so many different ways that professors or teachers would want it. We even have different opinions within our own geography department. So I think the real key here is consistency. That's right. Consistency. Be consistent. Don't have it say doc 14 and down here it says document 6. Make it consistent, right? I have the period after the parentheses here for each one of these. Everything is consistent. Okay, there's going to be different as you go through different classes, English classes, social studies classes in college, psychology classes, these kinds of sociology classes. They're going to want you to do different things. It's all about knowing your audience. Ask your teacher, self-advocate for yourself. So this lack of unemployment and lack of economic opportunity led to the conditions for drastic political acts of protests among Arab youth. And I wanted to put drastic political acts. Now, this is me saying this. This is my analyzation, right? You see these people, they're unemployed, there's no opportunity. They're going to stand up and say, hey, the government's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, not taking care of us. And that's what happened with Mohammed Bouazizi. And I put that. It could be argued that the Arab Spring began December 17th, 2010, when 26-year-old Mohammed Bouazizi, a street vendor, immolated himself, that means to set yourself on fire, in Tunisia after being harassed by the police. He died, right? And I used document 6, which is quotes from his cousin. I wanted to use the quote here. I didn't want to paraphrase here. We'll talk about paraphrasing in just a minute, but like I wanted to use an actual quote because it's like an actual relative of the guy who lit himself on fire, right? Through the newspaper, who says through newspaper and website, we seized every opportunity to expose the government. Directly aligns with how social media played a major role in the Arab Spring, right? Big one there. So I like that. The story of Mohammed Bouazizi, a young, bullied street vendor, was spread across state borders through social media and became the catalyst for the whole movement, which it really was. It was really kind of the beginning, the catalyst. You guys talk about that in science class, right? Catalysts, setting something on fire. Social media is more important than traditional media, such as television and newspapers among Arab youth. So now that is me paraphrasing, right? And I'm getting that from document 2, right? I'm looking at document 2. I'm citing my source. Social media is now more popular among Arab youth than traditional media. It's viewed as more trustworthy. It's become their dominant source of news. In stark contrast to a few years ago when the consumption of news was still dominated by television. So how can I use that? How can I paraphrase that to use for my argument, right? So I don't really like my sentence here because it's really too much like the original. So I want to paraphrase a little more and just try to kind of condense that into a little more thing in my own words, right? And what is it really trying to say, right? Is that, among the Arab youth, social media is seen as more reliable and trustworthy than the traditional forms of media, right? And I got document 2, right? Right? I got document 2. So I like that, right? It's just more important. And then I like to use the document 8 here because I want to use this guy, Amir Ahmad Nasser, because, it's in The Economist, it's like from The Economist. I looked him up. He's a young Sudanese blogger, right? And the Arab Spring helped give the Arab youth the agency and digital tools to begin the progressive, democratic, inspired movements to move the Arab world forward, not only politically, but culturally as well. Guys, that's his words. That's my words. I'm the one who put in the stuff. He talked about agency and digital tools. Maybe I want to quote that a little bit. Maybe I just want to make sure because those are kind of his words, which I wouldn't really use, but I like that. But I said, this is me, to begin the progressive, democratic, inspired movements to begin the Arab world forward, not only politically, but culturally as well. And then I finish it off. The results of the Arab Spring vary from state to state, but it's clear that social media played a major role in mobilizing the Arab youth. So, keys here, guys. Look, I messed up again. It's called proofreading. Oh my gosh. Guys, proofread, and be sure to be consistent and paraphrase when necessary. Don't copy and paste this entire quote in here and say, this is what Ian Ackerman wrote. Okay. It just doesn't work like that. Okay. You're making a story. All right. Best of luck to you. Enjoy online learning, and hope to see you guys soon.